connection to animals, coming next on Call with the Prairie Doc.
Hello and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. Ever since Noah opened the door on the ark, humankind has had to live with animals. The animal world has been connected in many ways. There are obvious ones associated with agriculture and pets. However, we also have a direct link to the non-domesticated fauna of the world. Diseases can sometimes travel across these links. Ticks, birds, and mosquitoes are commonly discussed, though we often forget the diseases that are carried by and sometimes transmitted to us from ranch, farm, and domestic animals. We are a part of nature, not apart from nature, as the saying goes. We begin the show with the Prairie Doc with a quiz by asking you at home a question about a dog bite. If a dog is acting unusual, bites and breaks the skin of a child, and then the dog runs away and cannot be captured, you have two choices. Number one, observe the child for signs of rabies and administer the antibody and vaccine shots only if symptoms occur. Or two, the child should receive the antibody and vaccine shots immediately, regardless of symptoms. Call or email your answer during the first half of our show, please. Viewers who call in the correct answer will be entered in a drawing to win a signed copy of A Picture of Health. This book was written by me with accompanying photographs by Dr. Judith Peterson. We'll be announcing the answer and the winner at the end of the show. In the Jaeger Media Center studio tonight to help us bite into our subject, I am joined by two public health experts. First, Dr. Lon Keitlinger is the state epidemiologist of South Dakota. Lon, tell us a little bit about where you got started with this whole epidemiology thing.
Rick, I work for the South Dakota Department of Health. I live in Pierre and work out of Pierre. I've been there for about 17 years now, working with all kinds of human diseases, dabbling into the animal diseases when they cause illness in people. Prior to that, I worked 20 years in Madagascar where people and animals lived in very close contact. And prior to that, I went to school in South Dakota at Augustana and grew up in Selby, up in Walworth
County.
You're
a Selby graduate.
That I am.
Is that the Selby crickets, or what are they anyway?
Well, it used to be the Lion, which we don't have in South Dakota, but the school became so small they had to merge with Harriet for sports, so now they're the Wolverines, a very fierce animal.
Do we have any Wolverines in South Dakota?
No, we don't. I wish we did.
We also have Russ Daly, the South Dakota State University Extension veterinarian and the South Dakota State Public Health veterinarian. Right. So that's a kind of an interesting job. So you're a veterinarian that works with extension. In other words, your job is to make sure that people understand you educate the public about what's happening, which is what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
And then you're also the state public health veterinarian, which interacts with what your office.
Yeah, so I get straddle the worlds of animal health and human health, and it's really been great. I'm a South Dakota kid too. I grew up by Columbia. Went to high school in Groton. Our mascot was the Tigers. You know, Brown County is a hotbed of tiger activity.
There's a lot of tigers there in Brown County. I've heard that.
Yeah, and went to school here for my animal science degree. Went to Iowa State for vet school. Took the first job I could find out of vet school, and that was over in Montrose, just west of Sioux Falls. And I was in practice there, mixed animal practice for 15 years, just about 15 years, and did it all. Did the hogs, the cattle, the dogs, the cats, the horses. Didn't really get too exotic with things, but any other domestic animal I pretty much took care of, and 10 years now at SDSU doing this job in extension.
What brought you from private practice to come back to SDSU?
Well, there's the opportunity, to do what I'm doing now, educating and working on more of a statewide basis. I love the interaction with my clients back in vet practice. And still miss it, but this allows me to do the same thing just on a kind of a statewide level.
Yeah. So one of the reasons that we did this topic today was a telephone call to Lon and saying, we want to do epidemiology with animals of the state of South Dakota and the region. When are you going to be anywhere near? And it happens that he was going to be in Sioux Falls at a seminar, a one-day seminar on avian influenza, and you were there too.
Yeah.
And being the state South Dakota's public health veterinarian, it perfect. But what?
Rick, it wasn't just avian influenza. It was human influenza and avian influenza, and because the two diseases intersect. So that's the whole point of the meeting. Animal and human, and then this intersection of the two diseases.
So did we see any, I mean, all of those animals that had to be killed because they were ill and infectious and spreading a very, very bad illness, those could spread it to humans, or would they get it from humans, or what's that story? Russ?
Well, no, we didn't see anything with humans with this outbreak. It's a certain strain of influenza. You know, most influenza viruses, for the most part, they like their own species. You know, the human influenza viruses like the humans, the pig influenza viruses like the pigs, you know, in same way for the birds. Once in a while, you get a crossover. And when this hit the Midwest, we didn't really know, because some places, parts of the world, that H5N1 influenza, for example, in China has killed people. And so when it hits over here and it first comes here, we don't really know. So Dr. Keitlinger's outfit, the Department of Health, had to monitor people who were in contact with the birds just to make sure. But we never saw
no spread.
any human involvement at all with this, which was great.
But none of those birds, and there were millions of birds that went down, and that was what, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota.
Yes, we had 10 big flocks in South Dakota in 9 counties, as far west as Beetle County, around the Brookings area, as far south as down into Iowa and Nebraska, Roberts County in the north.
All those birds that were put down, nobody ate any of those. But probably they would have been okay.
But people had to shovel the carcasses, clean up the manure, bury the carcasses, and take care of that. So people were exposed. We expected them to wear protective equipment, aprons and pants and masks and hoods and things, but we were very cautious that this disease could spread to humans, because we didn't know. We just haven't had experience with this anywhere, and we didn't want this to become an experiment like China.
Tell me, Russ, how they put down easily that many birds. I mean,
well, you got a lot of considerations here. You want to get the virus stopped, and the virus lives in the animals. So what you really have to do is euthanize the animal, and euthanasia means a good death.
A good death.
So we want to do it quickly, so that virus doesn't spend more days with the ability to leave the barn and go to infect somebody else's flock. But you want to do that humanely too. And the other thing is, how do you do 20,000 birds at one time and do it quickly and efficiently?
Go in there and twist necks?
Not really. No, that didn't work out that way.
So how did they do it?
Well, we used our local fire departments and local people to use fire retardant foam, actually, and it's been studied and found that that's a calm way to suffocate the bird, and we feel that that's a very humane way to do it. It's not good. It's not what we want to do. But if we don't do that, if we don't take care of those birds and euthanize them, then we have the possibility that virus is going to escape to another farm, infect and create bad situations for other birds.
Well, and we were eventually going to kill them and eat them. I mean, that's why we were raising them.
That's true.
So Thanksgiving, eggs.
Yeah. So let's talk about hantavirus, which is an illness that has occurred in South Dakota, and it's related to rodents. What about that?
Well, hantavirus is endemic in South Dakota. We have had cases about, one every year or two we have a case. A third of our cases have been fatal. And the thing about hantavirus, it's spread by it's reservoired and spread by mice, the white-footed deer mouse, and they get into people's houses, they build nests. People see a mouse nest, what's the first thing you do? You take the broom and start sweeping it out, or take the vacuum cleaner and suck it up, and that aerosolizes all the droppings and the mouse stuff.
Urine.
And people breathe it in, and you get severe respiratory problems, a pneumonia, pulmonary syndrome, pulmonary collapse. A third of our people in South Dakota have died.
So how would a guy clean up an old barn, clean up a house that's, you're tearing down a house and you find all these mice nests? Is there a proper way to do that, Russ?
Well, yeah, the first thing to make, just like you guys talked about, you don't want to aerosolize it. You don't want to, create a plume of the virus. So there's protocols for it, and you can look up an extension and on the health department website about how to wet things down. Wipe things up with a bleach.
With the bleach.
Yep.
Spray down with the bleach.
10% bleach.
Don't want to use vacuum cleaners or brooms, because that'll just...
The vacuum cleaners suck it into the bag, but it also sprays
Yep.
the microscopic dust of it.
So mopping and with wet disinfectant bleach is
10%
is the way
bleach.
to do it.
But there are other illnesses that are spread by rodents. We can talk about Lyme disease. We don't have it in this state, but we have other kinds of rodent and tick-borne diseases.
Well, right now we're dealing with the tularemia, what I'd call an outbreak, I guess, because we've got 20 cases of tularemia in South Dakota, and that's the most cases.
20 cases of tularemia right now.
Right now in South Dakota this
Wow.
year, 2015, and that's the most we've had in 1 year in over 30 years.
And it's related to mice and rodents?
Rabbits, prairie dogs, gophers, voles.
Where we get involved on the vet side is cats. Cats will eat the rodents. They'll get tularemia. They will have a chance of spreading it to a person who's trying to take care of that cat. We had a veterinarian in West River, South Dakota this year was presented with a sick cat. Every year we see sick cats with tularemia, and that's a potential way that people can get infected.
Tularemia is generally an ulcer and a gland swelling, and it spreads up to the groin and so on and so forth. But I had a case of tularemia pneumonia. A guy was mowing his yard on a riding motor and didn't want to mess with going around a dead rabbit. Just ran over the rabbit. Poof! There is tularemia dust in the air.
I've heard that too.
And
Yeah.
he was that close to dying. He was 3 weeks on a respirator.
That used to be rare, but now nearly 1/2 of our cases in South Dakota this year have had pneumonic tularemia.
And what were the stories?
We had the cat,
Yeah.
and that was a person living near the Black Hills that had a tularemia cat. The other people, we don't have a smoking gun for it. We have plausible explanations of why they were out doing yard work, or they were handling rabbits or mice or something like that. None of our cases were bit with ticks. We're not the only place that's had them.
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska have also had a big increase in tularemia cases.
I know that in the MMWR, they reported tularemia on the Indian reservation with little kids playing with dogs, and maybe it was a prairie dog that they were playing with.
Well, that used to be our classic case in South Dakota, young American Indian boy. And then the exposure was typically kid out, hunting rabbits, catching gophers, whacking a prairie dog.
Yeah.
But this year it's different. This year it's older white people that live around the Black Hills.
Oh, wow.
And people have said lots of rodents this year and lots of rodent die-off, so.
We can talk about the plague, too. I mean, of course, 1500s, one of the major epidemics, but, the plague has had 10, 12 major worldwide epidemics. It wiped out millions of people in China, but the one that we all think about is the one that occurred in Europe in the 1500s. It came from China, spread by the rodent and actually the bug riding on the rodent.
Yeah, and where we see plague quite frequently in South Dakota is in the prairie dog populations. And when the conditions are right, when the ecology of the disease is just right, it can wipe out a whole prairie dog colony. And you'll talk to ranchers, they'll call it the prairie dogs plagued out, and they see it.
Plagued out, and they did plague out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a plague.
So that just tells us that, if it's in the prairie dogs, there's a chance that the fleas and the insects that work on the prairie dogs could jump onto a cat or a dog, or
I
and
think,
get into people too.
You know, I think it's inevitable that we're going to have a case at some point in South Dakota. We've had these prairie dog die-offs and documented plague in South Dakota since 2004. So that's been over 10 years now. And it's only by luck and by chance that we haven't had a case. Colorado, New Mexico,
Yeah.
they have cases every year of humans.
So, do you think it's because of the flea that's on the?
Yeah, it came into California. Plague came into California in the late 1800s, I think 1870s or 1880s, and it's just been moving east slowly, and it hit South Dakota in a big way about a little over 10 years ago and killed lots of prairie dogs.
Yeah. So, well, that's an interesting story, and we've got another one coming up. We've all seen them flying around, and some of us, myself included, have been unfortunate enough to find them inside our homes. Bats can carry many diseases, so it's important to know what to do if you come in contact with one of these little flying critters.
My wife is upstairs working, and I'm downstairs vacuuming an area rug in our living room. And I hit something on the floor, and I stopped the vacuum. And I looked down at what was on the floor, and here's a bat with its wings out, laying face down on the floor. So I'm looking at it for a minute, going, I wonder how the bat got in here, and what am I going to do to get rid of the bat? It was still alive. I gingerly picked it up by both wings, away from its claws, away from its mouth, and carried it outside and hung it on this tree that's out here. He grabbed onto the tree and hung there for a minute and turned himself upside down like a bat would normally do. And we checked on him a few hours later, and he had died and fallen on the ground in front of the tree. And my wife went over and picked him up and threw him in the garbage. So a few weeks or a day later, I'm talking to Rick Holm about my incident with the bat. And he said, you really need to get shots. And I said, really? He says, oh, bats are very rabid, and it's not something that you just want to take lightly. Why don't you come in? I'll get all of the stuff ready for you. We'll make sure we got all the things you need for the shots, and you come in and get the shots. And I said, well, my wife picked it up too. She better have them as well. So now I'm coming home. I said, I better go tell her. So I came home and told her this story, and we're going, oh my God, that doesn't sound like something I really want to go through, this shot thing with the bats. And I said, well, the bat's still in the garbage. The garbage hasn't come. Let's go pick the bat out of the garbage. So we picked the bat out of the garbage and looked online, and it said, cool the bat. So we threw the bat in the refrigerator. I called the lady at the animal science lab in Brookings, and she said, yeah, bring it in, and we'll test it. If it's something you had an encounter with, there's not a charge for it. Just bring the bat in, leave it here, and we'll test it, and we'll be able to tell you the same day whether you had a bat with rabies or not. Lab called later and said, well, we didn't find any evidence of rabies, so I guess you're kind of off the hook. So I called Rick Holm back and said, Rick, no evidence of rabies, so what do you think? Do we still need to go through this? I said, no. As long as you've got the bat, tested it, you're good to go.
Well, that was one of those shoulda things. I should have said to him, can you find the bat? And let's test it first. And he researched it and did that work and found the bat. They hadn't thrown it away. But it was acting weird. It was on the floor. He ran over it with the lawnmower, or with the vacuum cleaner, and then it died the next day. And both of them touched the bat carefully, weren't bitten by the bat, so on and so forth. Would you have, if you didn't have the access to the bat, would you think they deserved the injections?
Depends on their exposure, and that's a question that Dr. Keitlinger's office deals with probably several times a day.
All the time.
Yeah, about the human aspects of it.
No, a fellow like that who can say confidently I was not bitten by the bat, we would not recommend exposure. However, well, the common scenario we get is there's a bat flapping around in somebody's bedroom. They wake up, the bat is there. Bat have tiny little teeth, and you don't know if you've actually been bitten by it. And then we'll recommend, and the bat flies away or something. Then we'd recommend that you take the shots. Or it's a baby, they don't know, or the person is passed out, they're drunk, or they're on drugs or something, and then you got to get the shots. But we'd like to test. Same thing with a cat, a wild cat, a skunk. We want that animal, we want to test it to save the person the expense and the hassle of getting the shots.
So I have to say, or you're going to say?
Yeah, and both of our places here at SDSU, we test hundreds of animals for rabies, just like that guy sent in the bat for testing. And yeah, just like he described, we're really, that's one thing that when that comes in, we know that people have that anxiety and they want to know that answer. So another example of how our vet lab actually supports public health in the state.
But if it's your neighbor's dog or somebody's cat that bites you, people really get excited about that. You don't have to kill the cat or dog and test it. You can confine it and observe it for 10 days. And if the dog is well after 10 days, that means they didn't have rabies.
Right.
Rabies is a fast-acting, a very virulent, a very deadly disease.
I mean, it's like 95% kills you.
100%.
Well, there are a few survivors
Well,
now.
a few, but those
severely
are very,
disabled, and they're
very
disabled.
exceptional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it just, I would say this, that reading the MMWR, which is the CDC's thing, every year I go right to when they have the rabies thing, I look at what was their exposure. Almost everything was a bat exposure.
Yeah.
Bat was acting weird. Sometimes they don't get bitten by the
Right. Of all the human cases of rabies we see, and there's not very many every year, a lot of times they're bat associated. And so our domestic animals, we've really done a good job with vaccinating our dogs and cats, and now horses too. And we don't seem to see, there's not too many exposures from those routes anymore. It's been the wildlife. It's been especially bats.
Our last two human cases in South Dakota were in the late 60s, and 1970 was our very last case. But every year we have people exposed, and people take the shots for prevention.
And it isn't 5 shots anymore, it's 4 shots, and it's over a 15-day period.
And it's not in your stomach, Rick.
It's-
And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt any more than the flu shot.
No.
So let's get rid of all those myths.
So my sense is if you've been messing with the bat was acting weird, get the shots. And I went to my emergency room doctor. I told the story of Mr. Heisler to him, and his comment was, he needs a shot, and his wife needs him too. And so, I mean, but we should have asked about getting the animal checked. Now, if you have a dog and you want to check the dog for rabies, the dog isn't going to live, is it?
That's right. It's not something you want to do with your own dog. You have to euthanize the dog and test the brain. That's the only way we know the virus is capable of coming out through the saliva and infecting a person. Unfortunately, that's where we're at.
And you have kids bitten by dogs, sometimes it's better to have that dog tested.
Well, and like Lon said, if the dog is somebody's pet and something you can control, then yeah, he should be confined for 10 days, and that gives a 2.5 times safety factor of whether that dog could have transmitted rabies at the time of the bite. So that's pretty simple to deal with. But the other thing is, especially in South Dakota, we've got animals that are always in contact with wildlife, our dogs and cats.
Well,
they should be vaccinated for
and
rabies.
The number one reservoir is skunks.
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
the terrestrial reservoir for rabies in South Dakota. So stay away from them.
Unless you've vaccinated those skunks.
No, there's
It's
no.
kind of
there-
hard to get close to it.
There's no. There's,
I didn't vaccinate too many skunks.
No, no. You've never
there's,
done it.
there's no approved. People,
Yeah, right,
people
right.
try and vaccinate the skunk, but if the skunk bites you,
Oh, for pet skunks, you mean like somebody
yeah,
has
no,
a,
don't.
has a
I
descented
know
skunk
they're
at home.
cute, Rick, but do not make a pet of your skunk. If that bits a kid, that Department of Health is going to strongly recommend that skunk be euthanized and its brain cut out and tested.
Yeah.
And we will take you to court for that.
Yeah.
We've done that. Yeah, we don't mess around with skunks here.
Pet skunks.
No,
Skunks
good
are
idea.
very,
Yeah.
very dangerous reservoirs. So, and you know that because, well, I mean, why are skunks worse than?
Well, the rabies virus has just adapted to skunk. Just like we were talking about before with influenza, there's these viruses just kind of, the
Like a
strains
certain-
like the certain cells of the animal.
On the
and-
East Coast, east of
Yeah.
the Appalachians, it's all raccoons.
Raccoons, right.
Some parts down in Texas, it's fox.
Yeah.
Here for years and years, we haven't had tested a positive a fox at all.
So it's the skunks here.
Yeah, and then they bite a cow, they bite a horse, they bite a dog, they bite a cat.
So you
that's
should
how-
very definitely have your horses vaccinated if a horse is
Well,
of value at all.
I think so, yeah. And that's probably something that a lot of horse owners could get up to speed on. They're out in the
not that
pasture.
well vaccinated, are they? I mean,
Not really, not necessarily. They're out in the pastures. They see something, that makes them kind of curious.
Skunk.
Yeah, and they'll get bitten. Now, horses aren't as bad as cattle as far as being curious and sticking their nose right up by that white and black thing and getting bit on the nose.
Yeah.
But fortunately, cattle rabies is pretty rare too. Now, we don't necessarily recommend that all our cattle be vaccinated. I mean, we have herds of 500,000 cattle here in the state, but cattle that go to like the fair and to
They need
shows, just because they have more exposure
Exposure
to
to
people.
humans.
Yeah.
What about farm cats? I mean, cats are not necessarily a reservoir. A lot of people have a ton of cats out in the barn and getting the mousing,
Yeah.
mousing and so on. And so
Oh,
forth.
in practice, I've been on those calls where it's normally you go to a farm and you do a working job for cattle, a sheep
Yep.
job for cattle. Sometimes it came to be a working job for cats, getting all the cats out of the barn, giving them their vaccinations, and sometimes you can't catch them, and that's a little problem. But we have clients that care, like to have them around, and so they'll do what they can, and we
They do their
recommend.
job. Like we talked hantavirus, they
Yeah.
keep down the mice, so they do their job. But we've seen whole barnyards of cats be depopulated, all killed, or all die due to rabies.
Any of them that have a connection with people or people come in contact with, the kids come and pet them, they should be vaccinated for rabies.
Yeah, if
no
there's
doubt.
going to be an exposure to a child, there's no question. We have a 76-year-old man from Sioux Falls who called in a question, caught Q fever 5 years ago, reached chronic stage, has taken antibiotics this whole time. There is no cure for Q fever, is wondering if you could tell him a little bit more about it. Coxiella burnetii.
Yeah, we had a whole One Health meeting on Q fever a few years ago. It's a troublesome disease. It is shed by animals. Animals will discharge the bacteria. Normally, the animal that's most likely to shed that will be a small ruminant, a goat or a sheep or a cow after they've given birth. So in the reproductive fluids and that kind of thing. Now, when those operations, get the wind blows on those operations, sometimes that can scatter the dust that has resulted from some of these fluid and things being out there in the farmyard. We know that's the animal source. However, on the human side, we don't always have the chance to link those to a specific animal source.
Q fever.
Typically in South Dakota, we have a couple cases, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases a year around South Dakota, and very rarely are we able to associate it back with a specific animal. A few years ago, we had what I'd call an outbreak in the Pierre area. We had 9 cases right there in Hughes County surrounding Pierre, and we
Didn't have a source?
We didn't find, and we interviewed people, and we re-interviewed. Where have you been? When were you there? Where do you live? What farm do you work on? And just we could not connect the dots.
Respiratory illness mostly?
Respiratory, fever,
Yeah,
chronic,
systemic,
heart valve. It just causes all kinds of problems. It makes people very sick.
60-year-old man from Sioux Falls, would it have been better to keep feeding birds and let the diseased ones die so the strong ones would live and create a resistance to the disease rather than kill them all? That's a very interesting question.
And I had that question from somebody else just the other day about the bird flu he's
Yeah.
talking. And the problem with this one is that it was such a virulent virus that we didn't have any strong ones that would live. It would kill everything. So, normally, yeah, you'd like to kind of survival of the fittest and have the ones with the best immune system kind of survive, but this was
It was
such
about
a
100%
virulent. It
fatal.
was
That is
100%.
It's a
Very.
tough virus.
So-
Virus.
Wow. So you worry that kind of virus can mutate and become human.
Well, yeah, influenza viruses are always kind of reassorting and changing, so we just don't know.
They say that it isn't a matter of if we're going to have an epidemic of an influenza kind of infection, it's a matter of when. And then we're going to have to call on you guys to help radically. Some of that's going to be isolation, a lot of hand washing. It's going to be a tough time.
Yeah.
We have a question, 86-year-old man from Centerville. I've been hearing about doctors spreading out the vaccines for children to prevent autism or prevent problems. And I hear it, I don't want to have it all at one time like you recommended at the CDC. I want to have it kind of spread out. Do you think it's necessary for animals as well? Specifically speaking, do you think giving multiple vaccines in one shot is a good idea, or is this too hard on the animal?
Okay, wait. Before Russ answers, let me just say a word about that.
Okay.
Vaccines do not cause autism. That was this falsified study that was published almost 20 years ago in England, and somehow this became this popular notion. It was just brought up by a presidential candidate here not that long ago. And many studies, robust studies, good,
carefully done studies, scientifically based.
Carefully done, have just found no evidence that there is a link between autism and vaccination. So none of that.
And the reason that they think they've thought that there could be a link, or they can prevent that, is because autism does start in children. I mean, at that about same age as the vaccinations are given, and they go, therefore, cause and effect.
Well, no cause.
There's no cause.
There was
There's no
one
relation.
paper that brought up, and that was
It was
refuted.
falsified.
And that was falsified. And then as far as spreading them out, no, stick to the schedule that CDC recommends. That's going to protect your child. You don't want your child to get whooping cough or measles or mumps or diphtheria or
pneumonia,
Hib meningitis or anything like that.
Yeah.
So just stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now animals.
Okay, now we can go to the animal side.
So
So this is fascinating for me. It's a great question because we have a 9-way shot in veterinary medicine, or a 7-way shot, and that means there's 9 different antigens in that shot. So we have a lot of immunologists studying that question. Is it good to give all of these at once in one shot to an animal? I don't think there's some combination shots in children. But the thing with animals is, you think we get stressed out when it comes time to get a shot.
Why not one shot instead of 9 shots?
Yeah. So from the animal standpoint, these guys are going to wrangle me out of a corral and put me up this alleyway. They're going to head catch me in a chute, and I'm going to get stuck with a needle. That's a huge stressful event. And every time that animal runs through that corral, there's more of a chance that the stress will decrease, increase the chance of disease. So there's some merit to just getting that done once, as much as we can at one time, and not spreading things out. And all those vaccines are approved just like they are for people. They're approved to do what they say the company says they're going to do.
They're miracles of modern medicine. It's our best weapon against these diseases.
I mean, think about polio. I mean, think about and now we've got an Ebola vaccine that will be able to hold and control this very malignant acting viral infection. It's a wonderful miracle medicine. I totally agree with you.
Well, and just look at measles. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we had thousands and thousands of cases of measles in South Dakota. We had children die from measles every year. We had children with
blindness,
encephalitis, mental deficiency for the rest of their life.
Heart diseases.
1963, the measles vaccine was licensed, and then it's gone down. We hadn't seen measles in South Dakota for 17 years until last Christmas. We had a little outbreak in the Mitchell area, and we're well protected in South Dakota. That was a cluster of folks who weren't vaccinated. They chose to deny vaccination and not be vaccinated, and the virus found them. It found them and made them all sick.
And even when you have low amounts of measles, it found them. Isn't it? It's amazing to me. It's like so. The point is, don't deny your children of the protection of available to that child with modern miracle medicine.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. The concept called One Health is the collaborative effort of multiple disciplines working locally, nationally, and globally to attain optimal health for people and animals and the environment.
In fact, we have this concept actually, it's called One Health, that actually the health that occurs in animals and the things that we study in animals are directly applied to people. And there's a lot of things that are that we call they're zoonotic. When we used to think about the zoonotic sort of being in one direction, and it was from the animal to the people, but in fact we understand now that it can go in both directions, and particularly when we talk about influenza. This concept of One Health is very key because really pathogens that affect people or how we respond to them are exactly the same thing in animals. So when we study animal health and we study how infections work in animals, it's directly applied not only in terms of as a model, but in fact because they can be transferred back and forth. So it's really, the two are tied very closely together. So that's why we have this concept that we've been talking about One Health, that really human health and animal health or in veterinary medicine are really one and the same, that particularly as it relates to infectious disease, that those diseases, how the animals respond to them is very similar whether we're talking about animals and livestock or we're talking about people. The things that we have available in terms of vaccines and what we can vaccinate for and how we look at infectious disease in veterinary medicine and in animal health, I mean, in a lot of ways, we're way ahead of the human side. And so, I mean, we really work at preventing. That's really the area that we look at the most. My research and the things I do with is all with vaccines. And so I think what most people would be amazed at what we can do in animals and livestock in terms of prevention. It's important to us, as it is to the whole industry, that we can diagnose things quickly. So we can give the answer as quick as we can. And the other advantage that we have in animals is that when we do have, so like H5N2, there's already vaccines that have already been developed. Even though this thing just started in April, that would never happen on the human side. There's no way that they can get vaccines out and about, but the way that the industry is put together, the way that we do diagnosis, the way that we report and all work together really is all designed to help make our livestock industry produce the healthiest and the safest animals that we can, and be and for ourselves as well.
So you're involved with this One Health thing, aren't you, Russ?
Yeah.
Are you at all on?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, explain it one more step.
Well, what it means is that we all are inhabiting this earth together. If something affects the animal population, it could possibly spill over into the human population. The environment we all live in, there's germs that live in our environment, can survive in the environment to infect animals and people, and how our environment affects the stress on the animals and our living conditions. It's all connected. So just to say we're just going to approach this from a medical standpoint or a veterinary standpoint or an environmental standpoint is missing the boat, because we all have to think of how all of those things affect each other.
The first thing that comes to mind is the huge efforts that we're trying to do with antibiotic stewardship in humans. And I know that in the past, there has been a lot of antibiotics utilized in animals for growth purposes, even including the fluoroquinolones, a whole variety of different antibiotics that are used in humans. It's been very frustrating for human doctors to try to not use the most powerful broad spectrum antibiotics and use really the 22 single shot bullet instead of a broad spectrum, so that we can have those big powerful drugs when we need them.
Right.
And then think about what the veterinarians might be doing. Tell us about what's happening in the veterinary world.
We need to use antibiotics just like you do. In your practice, we need the antibiotics to be able to treat sick animals, and we've got a responsibility to the animals we care for to, if they get a bacterial infection, that we need to treat them. What we're looking at now is that One Health approach, though. We know that you guys on the human side of things are dealing with infections that some antibiotics just aren't working for anymore. How much of that is due to overprescription by the MDs, by the physician community? How much of that is due to antibiotics used in food animals? So we get really, some cattle producers and veterinarians, we get really defensive when we,
Hear
get
the
that.
MDs.
You guys saying it's all your fault, and you guys are saying it's all our fault. But really, I've seen a huge change in this over the last 5 years or so. That we recognize that, hey, One Health, we're all in this together, and the fewer antibiotics you use and fewer antibiotics I use, it's going to be better for the long run. And so we've got regulations coming down the pike that are going to tighten up and mean that veterinarians are going to need to write basically prescriptions for feed-grade antibiotics now. We have, over the last few years, I think, developed health programs and vaccine programs more so than ever that mean that we don't even, we've got people out in western South Dakota not using any antibiotics in their cattle herd. We heard one of our colony friends at our meeting this morning talked about raising a whole barn full of turkeys without one antibiotic. So we can do it. And we're realizing the importance of cutting down antibiotic use from our standpoint.
One of the statistics that people use is that 75% of all the antibiotics prescribed or are used by the veterinarians and or in the animal world. Tell us about iodoform antibiotics.
Yeah, the bulk of that 75% is used in what we call ionophores, and our cattle people will know that we're talking about Rumensin and Bovatec. These are things that only affect the rumen bacteria in ruminants, not used in human medicine at all. So to say that amount of antibiotic is attributed to animal agriculture is a little bit misleading. I'm sorry to say that I think the people who usually say that are not the people who are necessarily looking at the whole public health aspect. They're looking at, we don't like the way you raise animals, so we're going to try to make it harder for you. That's a little political.
Sometimes you
thing.
grab facts and you use it as weapons, even though the purity of what you're doing is not as clear as it should be.
But we're getting. I think we've made a lot of strides on that, and working together with the human health aspects to do our part.
Okay. We have a call. Thank you for that. And I mean, that's a fair answer. But I think there are times that people can get antibiotics without the veterinarian, right?
Well, that's going to be changing. Absolutely.
And that should. That should. Okay. Well, 50-year-old woman from Wagner. How close are we to getting a West Nile vaccine for humans?
Oh, I'm extremely disappointed to say we're not. Years ago when this whole West Nile started, it was promised like within 2 or 3 or 5 years we'd have a vaccine for humans. It has not materialized, and I just don't see it coming.
Let's talk about West Nile a little bit. West Nile is an encephalitis. It's a neuroinfection. People who come down with West Nile can be paralyzed. They can have terrible neurologic symptoms. Sometimes it's permanent. Sometimes it goes away.
Long-term effects. Yeah.
Yes, it's a terrible illness. And so what more about West Nile?
Well, since there's no vaccine, the only thing you can do is prevent it by other means. And to do that, you have to use insect repellent during the summer. It's mosquitoes. They're carrying it. So keep those mosquitoes off of you. And the best way to do that is either stay indoors all summer long, especially during the evening hours and night, or wear mosquito repellent and wear long-sleeved and long pants.
Yeah, so it's
Just
a mosquito.
protect yourself, yeah.
It's a mosquito. And the mosquito carries other illnesses that we should talk about.
Well, here in South Dakota, like some other vague encephalitises, but worldwide, of course, malaria, that's the hallmark thing.
Right.
Yellow fever, dengue, chikungunya, all kinds of diseases in the tropical world.
Those are wonderful words to say, but we don't have to worry too much about them here.
Well, we didn't worry about West Nile 20 years ago. Nobody who would have believed, Rick, would have you believed that we could have an African virus come here and not only infect people in South Dakota, but actually flourish here? We're the world's hotspot for West Nile. We're the world's hotspot.
The importance is do not let those mosquitoes bite you. And so the sprays are relatively innocuous. You want to be somewhat careful. People talk about spraying them on your clothes and your hat rather all that direct skin.
Yeah, there's very safe repellents. Don't get it in your eye, and don't eat it, and don't spray it on your tiny babies and things. Follow the label carefully, but they're safe when used properly.
Okay. Another question on West Nile. Can a person have it more than once? And why isn't there a vaccine for there? There is a West Nile vaccine for horses.
Thank goodness. Yeah. When West Nile first hit South Dakota, I ran from farm to farm to farm, looking at horses that had neurological symptoms from West Nile. Now, it's important to know that horses don't transmit West Nile to people. Horses and people are dead-end hosts. The same mosquito bites the horse and they get sick. A few years later, we had a vaccine, and that has dramatically reduced West Nile in horses. So we really just don't see that much anymore.
And didn't we have somebody die from horse West Nile vaccine or get deathly ill?
Well, no. Here in South Dakota, we had people that thought they could
Take
get
the-
ahead of the science and take and take the horse vaccine. So don't do
Don't
that.
do that.
No, don't take your horses.
No.
And the reason is it's a different.
Yeah, it's just a different formulation. It hasn't been tested in
Okay.
humans.
Right.
And,
There we go. So we need to push our vaccination people to get some kind of,
we have the extremes. We have people who don't want any vaccines. They completely deny it. And then we have the other extreme. People want every vaccine. They even want their horse vaccine and their dog vaccine, I guess. But,
yeah, but don't do that.
no.
A 75-year-old man from Scotland, how do you get rid of bats on the ceiling of my barn?
Well, that's a tough one, and the thing I can say that we work with in Extension is exclusion. How to keep them out in the first place.
Right.
So once they're in there, it's
hard.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with the house. Our house was infested, or how would you say, with bats inside the walls. You could hear them scratching around at night. That keeps you from sleeping well.
I bet.
But we hired a bat exterminator. It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And he found every crack and cranny that the bat could come in.
That's what it
and
takes.
he plugged every hole but two and had a bat exit hole. You could get out, but you couldn't get in, and they disappeared. Scratches went away, and
That's
we've
what
been.
that's what you have to
just
do.
have to do. You have to find every tiny little.
Yeah, they'll get in.
We have cat rabies. Cats should be vaccinated, right?
You
Absolutely.
bet. Yeah.
From Sturgis, rabies kill. Does the rabies kill the skunks?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, the rabies virus that we have is kind of adapted to get along with the skunk a little better
So it
than
doesn't-
other.
doesn't kill it?
not eventually it will, but not right away. So that skunk has the ability to
carry it.
transmit it. And once you see a skunk that's out there wandering around in the middle of the day, they have rabies.
And by the way, did the cat who gets the vaccination safe?
Yeah, that's why you vaccinate cats.
Yeah, and
revaccinate.
stem
And, yeah,
cell therapy is used on animals.
There are some things being used on animals and at some of the major veterinary hospitals. It's interesting.
Okay, we've got more questions. And now for the winner of tonight's Prairie Doc quiz question. If a dog is acting unusual, bites and breaks the skin of a child, and then the dog runs away and cannot be captured, the child, what's your answer? Lon?
We would recommend that the dog be back, or the cat.
The
excuse
human.
me, the human take the rabies shots.
Yes, you can't wait for the symptoms. Once a kid has the symptoms, he's going to die.
No, please.
Those that answered 2 will be correct, and it was Diana Bader from Hot Springs who correctly answered our question. Thank you, Diana, for your answer. The book is in the mail. We'll be right back after this.
All around town, from stores to playgrounds, babies are on the move. And there are diseases that are on the move too. And some of these spread easily. To best protect him from 14 serious diseases by the time he turns 2 years old, vaccinate him according to the recommended schedule. So he can go on about his business and you can have peace of mind. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor or go to cdc.gov/vaccines.
One early morning, I was walking toward the back door on my way to work when suddenly there was a big bat flying around in the breakfast room, swooping around like in a Dracula movie. As it came near me, I reactively swung at it, and like hitting a Nerf ball, it was thrown across the room, landing on the kitchen floor, a little stunned. I closed all the doors to the rest of the house, locked open the exit outside, washed my hands thoroughly, and shooed the creature out into the early morning darkness. Bats are a marvel of evolutionary diversity, with something like 47 different species living just in the U.S., and important by their contribution to our ecosystem. Experts believe that these winged animals first developed powered flight and later ability to chirp and recognize their echo and thus their location. This capacity for radar-like echolocation became so refined as to allow flying at night or in a cave without light. Bats eat their weight in bugs every night, carry seeds to reforest depleted wooded areas, and pollinate plants. But 1% of these little flying mammals carry a deadly virus called rabies. Stricken with rabies, the victim, whether bat, dog, skunk, cat, or human, turns confused, agitated, aggressive, and infectious. Although not like a movie zombie, which has returned from the dead, those bitten by one infected with this age-old condition, left untreated, will certainly die. So after striking down the bat, did I need to receive rabies post-exposure prophylaxis, RPEP, to protect me from coming down with rabies? This involves 4 doses of rabies vaccine over 14 days and 1 injection of active immune globulin. Checking out the last 15 cases over 5 years in the U.S., 9 were from bat exposure, 4 from dogs, 1 from a fox, and 1 unknown. Well, this left me concerned. The CDC recommendations advise having RPEP if there's been a bite or an exposure to saliva into eyes, nose, mouth, or an open wound. This was unlikely in my case, and official recommendations say hand washing is extremely important. So, I did not seek out RPEP as I did not receive a bite. The bat was acting normally, and I washed my hands well after touching the bat, although I did have a few restless and on-edge nights. Still, don't let me bite you if I start acting like a zombie. Well, a big thank you to our studio guests, Dr. Lon Keitlinger and Dr. Russ Daly, who were gracious enough to join us tonight. And thank you to all of you at home as well. You're the reason we all show up each week to do what we're doing here. From all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, until next time, stay healthy out there, people. Hello and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc After Hours. We had many great questions submitted beyond what we could answer during the broadcast portion of our show, so let's get started. A 71-year-old woman from Black Hawk, she has heard hantavirus found in birdseed might get in the stored grain. How would one know if they had purchased bad birdseed? Have you ever heard of that?
Well, you could purchase bird seed and it might have mouse droppings in it. But hantavirus only remains viable or contagious for 48 hours. So anything that's been sent out from the manufacturer and been bagged and sitting around
It's not gonna-
no, it's not going to. You can see the mouse poop in there, but it's not going to be
Don't worry about it.
infectious. Well, it could have something else, but it's not going to be hantavirus. That will have
And that's
died
the one
away.
that's the most dangerous, of course.
Yeah.
And you probably shouldn't eat any of that bird seed yourself, right?
No.
Okay.
Not recommended.
Not recommended.
Hanta does not make birds sick, so
No, but the mouse poop is not a good thing to eat.
no.
Okay, 64-year-old man from Alcester. What are the symptoms of cat scratch fever, and can humans get diseases from cats? And I'll answer that one. I know that the least infectious, something like 5 to 10% dog bites will get infected. Something like 20% of human bites will get infected, and something like 50+% of cat bites will get infected, mostly from Pasteurella
multacida.
multacida.
Exactly.
And so certainly a cat bite needs to go to the doctor, or you need to call the doctor and talk to him. And Augmentin is generally what we use if you can take penicillin. Any other thoughts that you should say? Cat scratch fever is a different bird. That's a
bacteria.
weird, I think it's virus or protozoa or some weird...
Rickettsia?
Rickettsia, that's
Yeah.
what it is. And it'll ascend up the arm, and there's huge swelling and lymphadenopathy, and that needs treatment.
Yeah, fortunately pretty rare. I mean, not every cat scratch will result
that.
in that infection, but
I think
yeah,
I've
it's
seen
something
one
to-
case in my life.
Oh yeah.
So I've seen a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's something we don't track or monitor in the health department.
64-year-old woman from Sioux Falls got tested for West Nile a few years ago because she was feeling ill. It came back negative for that incident, but it said that she had previously been exposed to West Nile disease, had antibodies against the West Nile, but no current infection. She wants to know if those circulating antibodies mean that she is now immune to West Nile-bearing mosquito bites. So I don't quite get it because...
Well, no, I understand what she's getting at here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because you're tested for two sets of antibodies, IgM and IgG. IgG means a past infection,
Infection.
and that would indicate some immunity. IgM is a current acute
Yeah, a very recent infection.
infection now. So obviously she was bitten by a mosquito years ago or last year, and
She has an IgG.
she became infected. Most people, 80% of people that get bit by an infectious mosquito do not become sick. You have the virus, you're perfectly, you're
Maybe have a
perfectly
headache
well.
for a few days and
Well,
that-
not even that, nothing.
Your immune system
Yeah.
responds to it, and
Yeah.
you create antibodies, but you don't have the
Yeah,
clinical
20%
signs.
of people get fever, and about 1% get the bad encephalitis or meningitis.
Yeah, so, but it used to be thought that, oh, there's so many mosquitoes in South Dakota, we'll just check 1,000 people that are coming in for blood draw for some reason or another, and we'll find antibodies in so many of them. We didn't find it.
Well, no. And already this year we've had 31 people come down with reportable West Nile. We're finding it in people that go to donate blood, and before they can do a blood donation and transfuse it into somebody, they have to test it for West Nile. And sure enough, we're getting people that we're finding it in that way.
Right.
And you have to be perfectly healthy to donate blood. You can't be
Right.
sickly to donate blood.
Do they deny those people who have antibodies to West Nile to transfuse?
No.
They just note that they've got it.
Just if it's virus, and they do a different test, a PCR test.
To see if there's active
yeah,
virus.
to see if they have the actual virus.
And
yeah.
once you get an IgM that's positive, you do the virus test, doesn't have it, you'll take their blood.
Yep.
Okay, all right. 84-year-old woman from Coleman. What should a person do if you have a possum in your yard? Should you be afraid of potential rabies?
I would not be afraid of rabies. Possums aren't a species that frequently carry rabies. There's no rabies virus that's a reservoir in possums. And we get that question a lot about mice and really small mammals, ground squirrels and that kind of thing. You got to remember in South Dakota, usually any other animal usually gets it from a skunk. So a mouse or a little vole, something like that, is not going to win a bite battle with a skunk. So those animals just
They
don't
just
survive.
rarely don't
Yeah, so in possums probably, I mean, it'd be possible, but it'd be pretty rare. I think that'd be pretty low on the list of things that I'd worry about.
But if the
rabies.
possum were to bite this lady, catch it,
Yeah.
call animal control to catch it, and we will test it.
And make sure you're safe.
Yes, and the health department will pay for that because we have an animal biting a human, and we will take care of that for you.
And don't let the possum bite you would probably be the first thing.
Yeah, avoid letting the possum get a hold of you.
Yes.
Yes. Right, and don't play possum afterwards. Woman from Rapid City, European lady, called to explain that children should not get multiple vaccines at the same time because it's too much for their little bodies to handle. Her reasoning is if you give a man 1 beer, he does not get drunk. However, you give a man 4 beers, he does get drunk. Lon?
No, that's not true at all. Follow the schedule.
The drunk thing might be
Well,
true.
maybe the drunk thing, but do not make that leap into vaccination. That's
It's a poor metaphor.
Yeah, it just doesn't work at all. So use the schedule that's recommended, that's been tried, it's been tested, it's been
safe.
true, it's
It
been
does,
safe.
It's not too much for the little bodies.
No, those little bodies, they need to be exposed from that. You're exposed to so many bacteria and different things when you're born. The instant you're born, you pass through that vaginal tract and wow, you get it. You eat a salad, you're exposed to zillions of different things.
Yeah.
It's
But you need that because it
yes,
develops your normal
yes,
flora.
Yes, you need that, and you need to be protected from these diseases.
Right, there
And
you go.
vaccine is the best, the safest way to do that.
And you're recommending 4 beers is,
No, I don't. I recommend 1 little beer in 1 sitting, and that will just do you fine.
there you go.
Although she is a European lady, an English lady, or a European lady, I would recommend a good European beer over.
Oh,
our-
okay.
Yeah, that's. That
I
would
kind
take-
of like our local beers,
I
actually.
would take her up on that.
Okay. I immigrated from England 58 years ago, and I was able to bring my English cats back from England without any vaccination because I was told that there were no rabies in England. How were they able to keep rabies out of England?
That might be true. And I don't, 58 years ago, it sure could have been. I confess to not honestly knowing right now what their status is, but
England is an island,
yeah.
and that was a big fear when they built the Channel Tunnel.
That you're going to bring infection.
Well,
Rabies.
that fox were going to come. we're going to come through, and I think 1 or so got through, and they found one, and it was a huge national crisis when they found a case of rabies there.
in England because
Yeah.
Yeah, they're isolated. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're able
So-
to control things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are isolated, aren't they? 72-year-old man from Ramona. If you get vaccinated for rabies, is it good for your lifetime, or do you need to get a booster?
Yeah,
Russ is a veterinarian. They get vaccinated,
yeah.
and they need to be tested.
Yeah.
And if they're titer, their antibody titer goes down, they need to be boosted.
Yeah, we have, the health department comes into our vet convention every year, and vets go in and get their titer checked every 2 years, and if it comes back high enough, then you're good to go. Come back in 2 years, get checked again.
So,
So
how many times have you had a rabies booster?
I've done some pretty dumb things when I was a vet. Stuck my hands in horses' mouths when I shouldn't have been doing that. Yeah, I've had a couple throughout my time, but the last one's been a long time ago, and I keep getting checked, and I'm still very. So for his question, he should get a blood test just to see.
Just get a antibody titer, IgG.
Yes.
IgG.
Yes.
So that's it. I think our questions are over. Again, I would thank you both for joining us tonight. This has been very interesting to me.
Yeah, went fast.
Great fun.
My pleasure.
It was
Very
good.
quick.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on our website. We appreciate all of your questions and the opportunity to answer them. And until next time, from all of us at On Call with the Prairie Doc, stay healthy out there, people.
Funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc is provided in part by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call on South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Larson Manufacturing is proud to support On-Call Television as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
And by the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, the Medicare Quality Improvement Organization for South Dakota.
Additional funding is provided by
Aberdeen Asthma and Allergy,
Brookings Health System,
Dakota Allergy and Asthma,
Dakota Care,
Dakota Dermatology,
the Orthopedic Institute,
Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee,
and Swiftel Communications.
Closed captioning for On Call with the Prairie Doc is provided by the generous support of
Avera
Brookings Health System
and Fishback Financial Corporation.